Good afternoon and welcome. Good to be back. Had a little time off last month, and we'll talk about that a little bit in the future. Good afternoon, Stanley. Thanks for everybody welcoming me back. So, the background is a little bit different today because my M1 Mac Mini, which is my machine I normally use. Hi, Carolyn. Does not want to get on the internet. It doesn't want to talk to my T-Mobile home internet modem. I took it to the Genius Bar. It works fine on Ethernet and Wi-Fi there, but here it doesn't work. So I'm coming to you from my living room on my MacBook Pro. So that's why things look a little different. So I'm very happy to be back. I left Chicago the day before they had tornado warnings. And of course, I'm glad I wasn't trying to fly this last weekend because of the CrowdStrike situation. So let's get started. Talk about more Mac tips. And this is Go for Lunch. I'm trying to get my screen to cooperate here. For July 23rd, 2024, I'm living in the past. I'm Roger Harmon, your host. And this is brought to you by GoFor Technology, where we make your technology work for you. So I had two choices today for the holiday, so I chose both of them. So this is both National, you thought it was hot day, and National Vanilla Ice Cream Day. So I thought those went together nicely. So, yep, it's hot, as Carolyn mentioned, and it's your permission to have some vanilla ice cream today to try to cool off. So Bob Wood and I went on a road trip from the Old Pueblo to Crystal Lake, Illinois. So we were on the road for 3 days, and one of the things we did just before we got to Crystal Lake was go to the Illinois Railroad Museum. This is quite a venue. It has a lot of acreage because those trains are big. So we saw a lot of interesting trains, and this one I thought was very interesting to remove snow from the railroad tracks. So it has some great sponsors, including Amtrak and other railroad companies that donate their unneeded rail, what's the running stock? I don't know what the word is. Anyway, they give it to this museum, and the museum takes care of it. So a lot of hard work by the volunteers there to clean up these engines and railroad cars and give us a little glimpse into the history of the railroad. Yep, we were on the road again, as Bob mentioned. Speaking of Bob, here he is in a caboose taking a picture. So the whole reason for this trip was to attend MacStock 8, which featured a series of workshops on Friday, July the 12th, and the normal presentations on Saturday and Sunday, July 13th and 14th. So, yeah, Leslie Ann, good idea. I think we should go back to the trains, unless the TSA is there. So this was our venue at the Holiday Inn, and it is a conference center So the nice thing about MacStock this year is everything was at one place. Normally we would have to go from the hotel to the conference venue, but here we just walked down the hall and there we were. You'll notice in the lower left-hand corner a desk with a lot of equipment on it. Well, that's where I sat. So I volunteered to run the Ecamm video production, and there I am doing just that. So I had a great time and a great seat. So the information we're going to talk about today came from a presentation by Allison Sheridan. You can see she's on stage. We had two big screens, one on either side of the stage. And so let's talk about more Mac tips. So Allison has a website called podfeet.com. She has the NosillaCast podcast and 3 other podcasts that she does. So if you'd like more information about Allison, you can go to podfeet.com. So her title of her presentation was "Make the Mac Work for You," and she talked about neuroplasticity. So let's look into that term. You probably have seen something about it. Let's get over here to. I can't. So let's change. Here we go. So neuroplasticity is defined here. It basically is talking about the fact that your brain never stops growing. They used to think it stopped growing after childhood, but modern research has determined that your brain is always growing and evolving, and you have a part in this. You can't just sit on your hands and hope your brain will do things. You have to work at it. It's a muscle. So you got to work your brain, and one way to do that is by learning new things. And of course, that's what we're all about on Go for Lunch, is learning new things every week. So you want to keep building new synapses in your brain, new connections. Well, you can do that by new memories, new skills, and new abilities. So Allison specifically mentioned, don't give up on things too easily. If there's something new, especially involving your computer, don't try it for a minute or two and say, nah, I can't do that. That's too hard. Work at it for 30 days and see if it doesn't become a habit. So a great quote here that Allison brought up. I'll just let you read that. And another reminder to exercise that gray matter upstairs. So one way that you can be more efficient on your computer and learn something new, if you haven't already, is text replacement. So there is a system built in to iOS, and you get there by going to Settings, and Keyboard and Text. And then you can add things by hitting the little X in the lower left-hand corner. So let's look at that. So here we are. And I'll move this over here so I can see it. There we go. So the way we got here, let's back out of here so you can so I'm running Monterey on this MacBook Pro because I like to have systems so I can have the same system that you might have. So this is going to be the older system preferences as opposed to the new system settings. So here we have keyboard. And now in the new system settings, the easiest way to find this would be to search for it at the top of your system settings window. And then you would click on, it would probably come up like this, and then you would click on text. So the way you add things is with this little plus here. And then what you want to do is use a combination of characters that you normally wouldn't type. As you can see here, I use Q a lot. Something I learned from Allison is maybe a comma might be a way to do it. So let's just put a comma in and put in TXT. Then we hit tab and we'll type text replacement. And hit tab and it alphabetically rearranges it. So now if I go to a document, I can, let me get rid of this. So I already had that in, so that replacement was comma, ADD, space, and it puts in my address. So we can do comma, TX, space. Let's try that again. Comma, TX. Okay, so did I do that wrong? Let me look. Oh, TXT. Okay, so comma, TXT, space. So I'm going to triple click here to select this word. Or not. Oh, I see. Come on. Okay, I guess I'm not going to triple click. Let me get back over here. There we go. Triple click, comma, TXT, space. There we go. So hopefully you get the idea. You can have as many of these as you want, and they do sync between your Mac and your iPhone and your iPad. So if you determine that you have more sophisticated needs for text replacement, you can subscribe to an app called Text Expander for almost $40 a year. So it has a lot more complex features. You can put in, excuse me, you can put in a whole paragraph or several paragraphs. You can have it designed to, if you have a letter, you can say dear, and it'll give you a pop-up to enter a name. So there's all sorts of different ways you can do that. So let's look at that. So we're going to go to Safari and scroll up. So here's Text Expander, and you can get 30 days free at textexpander.com. And so you can see there a little example how it did a whole paragraph. So you can put in lots of different combinations. You can also put, they call them snippets. You can put a snippet inside a snippet, so you can have really complex snippets. So it works everywhere on all your devices. and it helps you be consistent. And you can see here some different snippets that they have set up, and these are, more than just the description here. It's whole paragraphs. It saves you time. In fact, they give you a little report of how much time you've saved. There's lots of help here. Here's the companies that use it, just a few of the many. And again, there's a 30-day free trial. You can see here under Learn, they have a learning center, they have webinars, getting started, and troubleshooting, so there's lots of support. So keyboard shortcuts, we've talked about those before, but there's one keyboard shortcut that I learned at MacStock, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So of course, that saves you from moving your mouse all around, especially if we have a big screen, by using keyboard shortcuts. And of course, they always, you can use those with a little tent card that you probably have, because I give this to everybody. So if you've misplaced yours or never got one, just let me know. And that has the common ones on it. So keyboard shortcuts always begin with the Command key, which is located to the left and to the right of your space bar on your keyboard. So the common ones are Command Z to undo, and these are all right in a row. Command X to cut, Command C to copy, and the kind of tough one to remember is Command V, Victor, to paste. And then we have the new one that I learned at MacStock, Command comma, which will take you to the settings in most any application. And then Command P for print. So those can save you a lot of time. And when you use Command P to print, you can just hit return and it will print whatever document you have set up there. So some other shortcuts. Oops, we got a duplicate in here. Okay, so that brings us to questions. And while you're contemplating a question, don't forget to share the GoFor Gazette with anybody you know that uses Apple devices. And our good old friend Zoom Workplace is always getting updated. So check and see if you're on version 6.1.5. So let's see what questions we have here. And let me get back up here. And so Susan had come, said that he traveled. Well, I am wearing red here. So Chris, did you bring cookies? Chris makes a good point here that Duolingo is a great way to learn languages, and of course a great way to exercise your brain. And Carolyn is a fan of Duolingo, and Chris has done Spanish and Russian. And Leslie Ann says, stream or call for TV. I don't understand the question. If you could explain that a little more, Leslie Ann. Okay, so Bob says, when I set a new text expander shortcut, I typically start with X, as in, comma, it's hard to get to on the iPhone. Good point. And Chris says, I'm Chris W47 or at Cristobal 647. And Leslie Ann says, I meant cable. Okay, well, I think you're asking whether you should get your entertainment by streaming or by cable. And of course, to get it by streaming, you have to have internet, which you'll probably get from your cable company, or you can get it from your cellular company. Like I am getting it from T-Mobile, even though it's not working for me. It works on all my other devices, just doesn't work on one Mac Mini M1. So it's really strange. Verizon and AT&T also have cellular internet, but it really depends on your location, how close you are to a cell tower. So you can set that out, check those out if you're tired of paying the cable companies, Cox and Comcast, for your internet at $80 a month. Most of the cellular internet offerings are $50 a month, or sometimes less if you have a cellular plan that you can bundle. So Chris says his favorite travel podcast is Tourist to Local, and has a Spanish channel or Spanish subtitles for English. So no problem, Chris. Good information. Glad to have it. So hopefully next week we'll be back with our normal setup, which is a little smoother. If you, thanks for the thumbs up. If anybody else would like to do a thumbs up, that would be great. And if you haven't already subscribed, then feel free to subscribe. So if you think of any other questions or topics, my contact information is coming up right now. So thanks for joining us.